Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Victor declares a shocking change of heart, and Nate shatters Audra's illusions. Diane and Jack gushingly discuss Harrison's return to society, but Kyle is distracted. He tells his concerned parents that Audra kissed him, in front of Claire. Kyle admits that he saw a flash of doubt in Claire's eyes when Jack and Diane inquire about how everything turned out. His parents pry out of him that he and Audra also kissed in Nice. He insists he was setting a trap. Jack is concerned that disclosing this to Claire would be a dangerous act. Diane agrees. This will come back to bite him. Kyle, knowing better than his parents, just wants to move on. Jack warns if it gets out, Claire may start to wonder if Audra's lies are true. Stop digging the hole any deeper. Kyle Jack. Victoria learns that Claire's date with Tessa didn't go as planned when she visits the tack house. Audra and Nate met up with them, and she told him everything that had happened. She describes what transpired. Victoria wants to know who Nate believed. Claire. Which way will Devon lean? In the park, Devon asks Nate how he's holding up and offers a shoulder to lean on after his brother's death. Nate says it's not that, it's Audra. She might be just as unreliable as everyone told him she was. He explains how it went down. Devon asks who he believed. Devon Nate. Nate has to admit that Audra's deal with Victor made no sense at all, and after France, she's suddenly walking away. There's more. Audra and Kyle were caught kissing at society. He asks for Devon's take. The person Devon trusts the least is Audra. Nate is unconcerned. Devon shares that, according to Abby, Victor wants nothing more than to break up Kyle and Claire. Plus, the perfume war was her idea. She instigated everything. Pacing, Nate argues that Kyle seemed to jump at the chance to be a part of it. Nothing here makes sense. Devon urges him to go with his gut. Nate's afraid of that answer. What advice will Sally give Audra? Meanwhile, Audra meets Sally at Crimson Lights. The redhead's all business, but Audra launches into complaining that the witch, Claire, told Nate everything about her deal with Victor. She explains how it went down. Who knew she had it in her? She rants. Sally asks if Nate believed her. Sally Audra. Audra's not about to let little Miss Muffet screw up her relationship. She had to blame Kyle. Sally thinks the blame goes both ways. Audra rolls her eyes and points out that Claire doesn't know about the kissing in a towel and believes she's the villain. When she admits that Nate slept on the couch after grilling her, Sally advises that lying isn't the best way to save her relationship. She reminds her this was the risk she took when she accepted Victor's deal. Audra's sure she can fix this as Claire has no proof. Sally warns Victor has the proof. Audra's sure he won't admit to his role. She rants about Kyle being so self-righteous and admits she kissed him at society, just as Claire walked in. Sally can't help but laugh. You are playing with fire. Sobering, she reminds Audra that Adam kept the truth from her and it made things worse. She doesn't want her to blow up her relationship with Nate. Sally Audra. Nate arrives, so Sally makes herself scarce. Audra asks her boyfriend if he wants to hear her truth again. He says it's time she listened to him. Audra wants to drop the subject of Kyle and Victor altogether, but Nate can't do that. He's run everything through his head and his gut tells him she's lying. A shocking change of heart. At the ranch, Victor sits thinking about the Kyle and Claire situation and how pig-headed he's been about it. Nikki wanders in and knows something is troubling him. Pouring tea, Nikki fishes to find out what's going on with her husband. He cryptically says it's about Claire and Kyle. It's time to settle this once and for all. Victor shows up at the tack house and asks to speak to Claire privately. Claire snaps that she has to go. Victor presses for her to hear him out. Victoria warns her father before leaving them to it. Victor. With tears welling, Victor tells Claire he loves her and respects her. He's wanted to protect her in his way. She doesn't need protecting from Kyle. Victor declares he will no longer stand in the way between her and Kyle. Claire's suspicious about the change of heart. Victor's watched her grieve Cole's death. They both grew up without parents and he adores her. All he ever wanted to do was protect her. He tends to go too far sometimes. They embrace and he asks for forgiveness. Claire-Victor hug. At society, Jack gripes about Victor starting all of this trouble for Kyle and Claire. As Kyle changes the subject to Harrison's return, Victor calls Kyle and demands his presence at the ranch. Claire arrives and urges her boyfriend to go. Everything has changed. Kyle leaves and Nikki and Victoria walk in. Claire announces that her grandfather is backing off and admitted he was wrong. Nikki's suspicious that he's working an angle. The fact that Victor has a heart makes Jack frown. Claire tells them it was definitely on the level and makes an Academy Award-worthy speech thanking everyone for their support. Jack warns that with the mustache, another shoe could be yet to drop. Victoria Nikki. Kyle arrives at the ranch and Victor declares that it's time to end this. He's put Kyle to the test all these months, and pushed him to the point where he thought he'd break. He passed the test. You've convinced me that you truly love my granddaughter. So, now, I will step aside. Kyle is appreciative of his blessing. Victor wouldn't go that far, he's an abbot, after all. Just know, Kyle, I'll be watching you. Victor Newman had spent weeks brooding over the chaos surrounding Kyle and Claire, the younger generation's latest entanglement that somehow always seemed to spiral into more drama than it should. For once, the usually unyielding, iron-willed titan of Genoa City found himself staring out the window of his ranch home, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows over the manicured lawns. He cradled a cup of tea in his hands, the porcelain warming his palms, yet he felt an icy tension that refused to lift. The situation with Claire and Kyle had become a thorn lodged deep in his conscience. For years, Victor prided himself on his ability to manipulate, to protect, to control, but something about Claire's pain struck a chord he hadn't anticipated. Nikki, ever intuitive, sensed the storm behind his eyes. She entered quietly, a soft clink of the teacup in her hand. "Victor," she said gently, "you've been staring at that window for hours. What's going on?" Victor sighed, looking down at his cup, swirling the liquid absent-mindedly. "It's Claire, Kyle," he murmured. "I've been so focused on trying to control everything, to protect her, that I might have forgotten what she truly needs. And what he needs. I can't keep standing in the way." Nikki's brow furrowed, cautiously probing. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Victor glanced up, his gaze distant but resolute. "It's time to settle this once and for all. No more games, no more interference." Meanwhile, back in the gilded halls of society, Jack Abbott and Diane were basking in the fleeting joy of Harrison's triumphant return to Genoa City's elite social circle. Champagne flutes clinked as they whispered excitedly about his reintegration, his renewed presence bringing a touch of nostalgia to their evening. Yet amidst their giddy conversation, Kyle sat quietly, a shadow across his features. Diane noticed immediately. "Kyle, what's wrong? You've barely touched your drink," she asked, concern lacing her voice. Kyle hesitated, swallowing hard. It's Audra." He paused, weighing each word. "She kissed me." Diane blinked, startled. What?" "In front of Claire," Kyle admitted, tension radiating from him. He exhaled slowly, eyes downcast. "I saw a flash of doubt in Claire's eyes when Jack and Diane asked how things had turned out. And, yes, we also kissed in nice. But it wasn't what it looked like. I was setting a trap." Jack's concern sharpened. "Kyle, you need to be careful. Revealing this to Claire, it could be disastrous. You could ruin everything you've worked for." Diane nodded. "He's right. It will come back to bite you." Kyle's jaw tightened. "I know. But I just want to move forward. I can't live in the shadow of all these secrets forever." Jack shook his head, worry etched deep into his features. "Listen, if Claire finds out about this, she might start wondering if Audra's lies are true. Stop digging the hole any deeper, Kyle." Kyle didn't argue, but his mind was already elsewhere. The weight of family expectations, romantic entanglements, and his own conscience pressed down on him, yet he refused to falter. He had endured enough manipulations and schemes. He wanted authenticity, even if it meant confronting uncomfortable truths. Meanwhile, Victoria arrived at the Tack house, eager to check on her sister, only to find Claire's evening had gone awry. Tessa's date with Claire had not gone as planned, and the tension was palpable. Audra and Nate had intersected with the chaos, and Audra spilled everything that had transpired earlier. Victoria, ever the inquisitor, demanded to know where Nate's loyalties lay. Across town, in a quiet park where the sun dipped low over the horizon, Devon and Nate found themselves walking side by side. Devon's concern for his friend was evident. He could sense the turmoil behind Nate's usual composure. "How are you holding up?" Devon asked, his tone gentle. "After everything." Nate shook his head, a grimace tugging at his lips. "It's not about him," he said, referring obliquely to his brother's death. "It's Audra. She may be just as unreliable as everyone warned me. Everything she did. It doesn't add up. She walks away from France, and suddenly, she's calling the shots." Devon's eyes narrowed, prompting the question Nate had been dreading. "Who did you believe?" Nate hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "It's complicated. She made a deal with Victor that makes no sense. And then there's the kiss at society, with Kyle." Devon's expression hardened. "If you ask me, she's the last person you should trust. And according to Abby, Victor wants nothing more than to break up Kyle and Claire. Plus, the perfume war, she instigated that too. Nothing about this makes sense, Nate. Go with your gut." The advice was heavy, unwelcome but clear. Nate felt the weight of it pressing down on his chest. "I'm afraid of what my gut is telling me," he admitted. At Crimson Lights, Audra vented her frustration to Sally, the redhead a steadying presence amidst the storm. "That witch, Claire, told Nate everything about my deal with Victor," Audra seethed, running a hand through her hair. She recounted the events, embellishing and justifying her actions simultaneously. Sally leaned back, arms crossed. "And Nate, did he believe you?" Audra waved her hand dismissively. "He'll figure it out. He has to. Little Miss Muffet thinks she's ruined everything, but it's Kyle's fault too. He was so self-righteous." Sally's smile was bemused but serious. "The blame goes both ways, Audra. Lying won't save your relationship. That's the risk you took when you made the deal with Victor." Audra rolled her eyes, frustration boiling over. "Victor won't admit his role. He has the proof, but he won't intervene. And Kyle, he kissed me at society, just as Claire walked in. I can't let that ruin what I have with Nate." Sally laughed softly, shaking her head. "You are playing with fire. Adam kept truths from you once, it made things worse. Don't blow up your relationship over pride or secrets." Nate arrived just as Sally made herself scarce, leaving Audra alone to face the consequences of her own choices. "Do you want to hear my truth again?" she asked nervously, her voice tight with apprehension. Nate's response was calm, yet firm. "It's time you listened to me." Audra wanted to drop the subject of Kyle and Victor entirely, but Nate refused. He had analyzed every interaction, every word, and his gut screamed that something was amiss. The trust she relied upon was eroding beneath her feet. Back at the ranch, Victor finally made a decision. He could no longer sit idly by while Claire's happiness was compromised by his own stubbornness and misplaced protection. With Nikki nearby, sensing the rare vulnerability in her husband, he admitted, "It's about Claire and Kyle. I've been too rigid, too controlling. No more." Victor made his way to the tack house, determined to confront Claire privately. She attempted to brush him off. "I have to go," she said, but Victor pressed gently. "Just hear me out." Victoria, sensing the gravity of the moment, warned her father before leaving them alone. Victor's eyes glistened with emotion. "Claire, I love you, and I respect you. I wanted to protect you in my own way, but I see now, you don't need me to shield you from Kyle. I will no longer stand in the way." Claire's eyes narrowed in suspicion, unsure of this unprecedented display of vulnerability. "Victor, what's changed?" Victor stepped closer, voice softer than she had ever heard. "I've watched you grieve, seen your resilience. I know you've grown up without the guidance many take for granted, and I've admired you for it. My intentions were always to protect, perhaps too fiercely. Forgive me." They embraced, a tentative but sincere moment of reconciliation. At society, Jack grumbled about Victor's influence, his irritation palpable. But when Victor called Kyle to the ranch, demanding his presence, Claire urged him to go, her eyes conveying both relief and apprehension. Nikki and Victoria arrived soon after, exchanging skeptical glances. Claire announced, her voice steady, "Everything has changed." Grandfather admitted he was wrong. Nikki, ever cautious, arched an eyebrow. "Are you sure he's not working an angle?" Claire shook her head, confidence radiating from her posture. It's genuine. I can feel it. I know it sounds impossible, but it's real. At the ranch, Kyle arrived, unsure of what awaited him. Victor, with the weight of authority and sincerity in his voice, addressed him directly. It's time to end this. You've been tested these past months, pushed to the brink. You've proven that your love for Claire is genuine. I will step aside. Kyle, though grateful, understood that Victor's watchful eyes never truly disappeared. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. Victor allowed a small smile. I won't go so far as to let you think it's easy. I'll be watching, Kyle. Always. But for now, you have my blessing. In that moment, the tangled web of secrets, misunderstandings, and manipulations began to shift. Hearts and loyalties were realigned, and the Newmans, Abbotts, and those caught in their orbit felt the tremors of change reverberate through Genoa City. For Victor, it was a rare acknowledgement that even the most steadfast patriarch could evolve. For Kyle and Claire, it was a chance at love unencumbered by the shadows of past deception. And for Nate and Audra, the delicate dance of trust and truth continued, a reminder that in Genoa City, nothing ever remained simple for long. The day after Victor's surprising declaration, Genoa City felt unusually quiet, though the calm was only surface deep. At society, the air was thick with whispers, glances, and subtle calculations. Claire moved among the patrons with a rare sense of serenity, though her mind was anything but calm. The weight of Victor's words pressed on her chest, but even as relief washed over her, suspicion lingered. She had known Victor too long to believe that such a sudden change of heart could come without a price. Victoria and Nikki, standing near the entrance, watched their niece with careful eyes. She's different, Victoria murmured. The tension is gone, but there's still that subtle wariness. Nikki nodded, her instincts always sharper when it came to family. She's trying to trust him, and it's not easy. Victor has never been simple. Meanwhile, Kyle lingered in the background, replaying his grandfather-in-law's words. He stepped aside. Kyle murmured under his breath. The statement should have been a relief, yet it didn't quite settle his nerves. Victor watching him, always Victor watching, was a thought that wouldn't leave. And the kiss in society with Audra, that lingered like an uninvited shadow at the edge of his mind. He needed clarity, a way to ensure that the fragile peace around Claire wasn't shattered by his own history of mistakes. At the ranch, Victor paced the large, open hall, Nikki watching with an almost maternal concern. You actually did it, she said, voice tinged with disbelief. You admitted you were wrong. You let go. Victor gave a small, almost imperceptible smile, but it didn't reach the steel in his eyes. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, he said. I still have responsibilities. Claire's happiness is paramount, and Kyle, well, Kyle has proven he's capable. But I'll always be ready, should things go sideways. Nikki crossed her arms, a skeptical arch to her brow. Victor, you can't live your life thinking every single move will be a disaster waiting to happen. You need to trust them. Victor paused, looking out the window at the fading sun. Trust is earned, Nikki. I've given them every obstacle imaginable, and they've still managed to survive. That earns something. Back in Genoa City, Nate sat alone in crimson lights, his thoughts a tangle of doubt and suspicion. Audra's confessions, her half-truths, the deal with Victor, the kiss with Kyle, they all replayed like a distorted record. Devon's advice echoed in his mind, go with your gut. But what was his gut really saying? Was he being unfair? Was he simply letting grief and betrayal cloud his judgment?